excitement is not a call to act, It's an invitation to feel. It's an invitation to be mindful. We live in a culture that teaches us to broadcast every high, and to numb every low. So when we feel joy, or when we feel excited, or even a breakthrough, we are tempted to immediately share it. Not because we are always ready to connect, but because we are afraid that the feeling will slip away, or the feeling will end. Joy becomes performance, excitement becomes proof, and presence now becomes replaced by validation. Then we enter this dopamine loop where sharing now replaces living in the moment. When something good happens, either you get a job or meet someone new or even have a moment of peace, your brain releases dopamine. But now here is where it gets tricky. Your mind doesn't want to just experience it. It wants to extend it. And that's how we even end up, instead of living in the moment, we are there trying to record the moment. You know, instead of sitting with that sacred moment and feeling it deeply, we rush to call someone who makes us feel the same high. Make plans you are not grounded enough to think through. You say things you don't fully mean yet, just to sustain the excitement. But when you attach that excitement to another person or moment prematurely, you end up diluting the entire moment. You merge two separate energies, and that blend is often misleading. Not every high needs to be acted on. Not every joy needs to be shared immediately. Sometimes the wisest thing you can do when you're happy is nothing. Just be there in that moment, in your body, in your breath, as in let the excitement fully land. Let your joy have its own space, its own breath, its own rhythm. Because when joy becomes dependent on being validated, or shared, or even extended, it loses its purity. Real joy doesn't need an audience, it needs awareness. Excitement is not clarity, it's chemistry. So be mindful of the promises and plans you make while high, especially high on emotional energy. Be very, very careful with those plans you make, because you'll commit to things that drain you later. You'll overestimate your capacity. You'll confuse emotional momentum for actual alignment. Excitement doesn't always mean something is right. Sometimes it just means something is new, or that your brain is responding to hope. So before you say yes to something big, before you call someone to share, before you write a post or capture the moment, pause and ask yourself, am I grounded or just riding the wave? Is this alignment or emotional overflow? Can I sit with this feeling without needing to magnify it? Let the moment breathe. Every moment of joy deserves its own space, not as a performance, not as a promise, but as a presence. Yeah? And if the joy aligns with another person or opportunity, let that unfold organically, not out of fear that the feeling will fade. Because when you learn to sit with your joy, you stop making excitement a transaction. You make it a form of intimacy with yourself. And that kind of joy doesn't need to be shared immediately. Just needs to be honored. My people, heal. Heal.